Good morning Year 4 and welcome to your first Monday's maths lesson. This video is going to be targeted at the children that have got the Year 4 booklet. So if your home learning's got the Year 4 on there, this is targeted at you. Now with it being Monday and it's the first lesson of your home learning, when you open your book and you've got the contents page here, we're going to be working on the first page in the book. Now there are 4 sections for us to complete during the lesson. Some of them are going to be counting in 5s and 25s, and there's also going to be some Roman numeral work as well. Some of this will be new learning for you, and that's fine. If you need some extra time, you can always just pause the video and then come back to it afterwards if you need some extra time. So we're going to look at the first question. So we have got a number line here, and the question says that we need to count on in 25s. Now, I've written down on my whiteboard the rule that we need to learn by, and if you remember this rule, it'll be really easy for you to count on in 25s or count back in 25s, no matter what number is given to you. So this is your rule, okay? Starting from here, the rule is 25 goes to 50. So 2 25s make 50. After 50, add another 25 is 75. And adding another 25 is 100. That means that 4 lots of 25 make 100. If you can remember this rule, then it will be really easy for you to count forwards and backwards from any given number. Now, luckily with the page that we've got, we are going to be starting from the number 0. Okay, so thinking about the rule that I've got on here, you can start by plotting your first 4 numbers on the number line using the rule that I've got. So you're going to write in 0, then it will be 25. 2 25s made 50, so it'll be 50 after that. Add another 25 was 75. And then the final one of the rule was that 4 lots of 25 equal 100. So you're going to put 100 in the next box. But that's not all of the number line completed. We've still got the rest of it to do. So this is where the rule comes in. You've got up to 100. Now you need to use the rule to work out what the next number in the sequence is going to be. So looking back at the rule, it starts at 25. Now we're already on 100. But I'm going to put 125. Okay, so the next part of the sequence, you can notice a pattern. We've still got the 25 there, but we've got 100 more. So same's going to go again, 100. What comes next in the rule is 50. So we're going to put 50 in there. And so on. So we've got 100 more this time, but it's still the next number in the sequence for the rule that we've got. So it's going to be 175. Now we've already got 100. Remember, we're 100 more on this section. So what is 100 more than 100? What's 1 add 1? We know that's 2. So 100 add 100 is going to be 200. And so on. And if you wanted to do more of this, if you wanted to get your parents to give you any given number using this rule, they have to be starting with these numbers or any 100 greater, then you can continue to count on or back in 25s. So you're going to complete the section of the number line now for question 1. You can pause the video and then you can return back and we will move on to question 2. Okay, so for question 2, we've got a number line again, but it's slightly different. You can see here that you've got the integers. These are the parts where we're looking at. And we've got one part of the number line that's been filled in. You've got the 0 at the start, but this part has been done for you. And I want you to see if you can read that number before we start. How many zeros has it got? Now to help you, what you could do is make a place value chart on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. So on my whiteboard, I'm going to draw. Now there was 4 digits on that number, so I'm going to use my place value chart with 4 places. So I'm going to start with thousands, hundreds, tens and ones, and we make that into our place value chart. Okay, we had a 5 in the thousands column, and there was 3 zeros after. Okay, so using the place value chart, can you tell me what number that shows? So what is in this column? There's 5. 5 what? Well, it's in the thousands column, so it's 5,000. Now there's nothing in the hundreds, or the tens, or the ones, so we've got our placeholders in there. If we didn't have the placeholders and we took them away, the answer would just show 5. And it's 5,000, but we need those zeros in there. Now what the important thing to do is to notice how many integers in the 5,000 is showing, because this is going to show you what you need to be counting up in. So we've got 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, 4 jumps, 5 jumps. Now on my 5th jump, I'm on 5,000. So I know that I'm jumping up now in thousands, because I can have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and on my 5th jump I get to my 5,000. Now I'm not going to go through these ones, but we know that we are jumping up in 1,000 each time. You can use your place value chart to help you to jump up each time. All you're going to be changing is the number that's represented in the thousands column. So an extra 1,000 onto 5,000, we would change that to a 6, and that would show 6,000. Okay, and again, you can pause the video if you like and return back when you are ready to go into the next section. Okay, on section 3. Section 3 could be new learning to some of you, or it could be learning that you're going to revisit. Either way, that's fine. But we're going to start off as if this was new learning, and I'm going to teach you the basic rules of Roman numerals. Roman numerals are numbers which are represented as letters. Each letter will represent a number, and it's the way that they are represented in which you can interpret that as the number that it's showing. This is the general rule that I've written down on the whiteboard. Now if you want to pause the video and have a look at this first, or jot it down on a piece of paper for a reference to have beside your work, and that'll really help you just to work out the answers to some of them and the rule that we have to use. So here is the general rule of thumb for Roman numerals. We're starting off up here. Now these are all in capitals. Whenever you write Roman numerals, they always have to be in capitals. So you might not be able to notice with the X and the V, but they all are in capitals, and it starts off, the number 1 is represented as a capital I. If you were going to represent a number 2, you would represent 2 capital I's. So the number 2 would be equals capital I, capital I. And in Roman numerals, that is the number 2. If we were going to represent the number 3, let's take this off. All we need to do is add another capital I. And then that number would represent 3. 3 capital I's. Now that's the only part that becomes simple. It then gets a little bit more confusing when you get to other numbers. Referring back to the rule, if you wanted to go to the next number that we would jump up to, which would be the number 4, it's represented as an IV. Okay? And that's really important to notice, that it is not just 4 capital I's, because that wouldn't represent the number 4 in Roman numerals. In Roman numerals, these are your other 4 letters that you will be using. You've got the V, which is 5, X, which is 10, L is 50, and C is 100. Those are the other 4 letters that we will be using, and you can make all of the numbers past 100 using these. All under 1,000 will be using just these letters, but it's the way that you represent these. Now the number 4 has an I, which represents 1, and a V, which represents 5. Now you can see that 5, if we take away 1, which is the I that's represented, what number do we get? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can see that it is 5 minus the 1. So it's putting the 1 before the 5 because you are taking that 1 away from the 5 to make 4. If you were going to represent the number 6, you wouldn't put the I at the front because that would mean that you were taking it away. So you'd start off with your V, but to make 6 from 5 we need to add 1. So we're going to put on this side, VI would equal 6. Going back to the rule that we've got now, that would go all the way up to 9. So you'd have V, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'd make 9. When you get to 10, it becomes a different letter, and the X is represented as the 10. If you had 2 X's, that would represent 20. 3 X's would represent 30. 4 X's would represent 40. When we get to 50, that changes and it becomes an L. And that saves you writing the X multiple times. It makes it easier. So when we get to 50, it would be L. If you wanted to write the number 60, go back onto this board. Very similar to how we were working this out before when we were adding on, we'd have 60, so you would have the L, which is 50 here. I'll write 50 underneath here. And we need to add on another 10 to make the 60. Now the 10 in Roman numerals is an X. So you can see that 50 add the 10 is 60. So in Roman numerals, LX would be 60. Now in your book, you have got 8 questions. If you want to pause the video or return back for where the rule is, or I can hold the whiteboard up for you now, this is the general rule that you need to follow to work it out. This is new learning, so I don't expect you to get this right straight away, but what I would like you to do is use this as the rule. So you're going to work through and write the numbers for these Roman numerals and see what they stand for. You can pause the video now and complete this section and then return back when you are ready to do section 4. Okay, so hopefully you've managed to do that. If you were struggling with that, please don't worry. This is new learning for some of you, and it is quite tricky to understand which way around the letters go. Roman numerals is a really tricky thing, and it's a really tricky concept to get. If you need any extra help with Roman numerals, please feel free to email in at the Year 4 email address that you will have. Now moving on to the final section, which is section 4, you are also using a number line. So it's coming back to what we were using right at the beginning of the lesson. You've got your number line here, you've got the integers, the lines, and you've got some of them which are filled out for you. If you look at the ones that are filled out for you, you can see that you've got -5, which goes to 0, and then goes to 5. Now I can tell that that is jumping up in what? Have a think, what's that jumping up in? And you should have realised that it's jumping up in 5s. Even if this -5 was tricking you, if you take that away, 0 to 5, how much am I jumping on? Well, I'm jumping up 5. So you're going to be counting on, using your 5 times table for this part and for this part, you're going to be jumping on in 5s and jumping back in 5s. Remember that if you are working with numbers below 0, they are negative numbers, so they will need a minus in front of it. Okay, so that is the rest of your learning for today. Tomorrow you're going to have Miss Colclough. If there is any issues or is there anything that you would like some extra support with, please feel free to email me and I can get some extra work done for you. If you have finished all of your book for today, please do remember that we do need the evidence for us to mark and feed back to you. Thank you very much.